This video right here is incredibly eye-opening. JD Vance is talking to Lisa Cook, who just got fired by Donald Trump from the Federal Reserve. Watch what she says right here regarding diversity.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate everybody being here, and I appreciate the chairman for holding this important hearing. And I want to start maybe by just pointing out the obvious that one of the important things the Federal Reserve does, of course, is hopefully help us prevent the next global financial crisis. And I want to focus in particular on Ms. Cook, on some of your views here, because I think you've written some things I agree with, and you've written some things that I disagree with too. And so just to start with and to give you some chance to explain your particular perspective here, I understand this is a very complicated question, but at a high level, what do you think caused the 2008 global financial crisis?
I think there were multiple factors causing the 2008 crisis. Certainly, I would say living in Michigan certainly saw the mass layoffs that allowed for people who had taken out mortgages to no longer be able to make those payments. So that, to me, was one of the primary causes. But certainly extending credit in a way that was not sensible, both receiving credit and extending credit, especially in the subprime sector, helped to cause the global financial crisis.
Well, I appreciate that, Ms. Cook, and I agree with you. And, of course, one thing that I'd add here is that we took, as you said, some primary credit problems and really exploded them by introducing a whole host of highly complex financial instruments. Seems like nobody understood them especially well. That obviously provided a lot of leverage in the economy. And so when $10 disappeared, all of a sudden $1 million disappeared, $10 million disappeared, and on the dominoes went. I want to ask Ms. Cook, if you had to rank it, where would you say a lack of racial and gender diversity ranks on that list? Would you say it's a top 5 factor, a top 10 factor in what caused the global financial crisis? Lack of gender and racial diversity, of course, at the big banks.
Senator, as a Federal Reserve governor, I think about the dual mandate first, and I think about the two legs of that dual mandate, and those are maximum employment and stable prices. And as a governor, I have been engaged with my colleagues on the Federal Open Market Committee in fighting inflation aggressively. And I have been focused on the dual mandate, and that's how, if reconfirmed, I would plan to proceed.
I appreciate that, Ms. Cook, and the reason I asked this question is this. So in a 2019 interview, you said that a lack of women and diversity leads to the next economic crisis. In another speech that year, you suggested a lack of diversity was, quote, at the root of the financial crisis and the Great Recession. So my question is, do you think that a lack of diversity was a root cause of the recent turmoil in the banking sector? Do you think it was a root cause of the 2008 GFC?
Senator, again, I would focus on my time in the past year of being a governor and focusing on the inflation fight. When I have written about diversity in particular, something that you might be interested in, that you focused on, sure, is innovation and where capital goes and where in the country it is. So certainly as a Fed governor, I've been out in all parts of the country listening to community banks and listening to communities about where credit is available and where it is not, and what the Federal Reserve might be able to do to provide such credit in the system, which is part of our dual mandate.
I appreciate that, Ms. Cook, and I will say that I hope you continue that work, because I certainly agree that we need to extend credit where possible and make sure that businesses, whatever the color of the skin of the founder, have access to capital. And I think that's probably an area where there's some alignment between the two of us. The final point that I'd make, and the reason I asked this question, and probably one of the last times I'll ever get to talk to you, and you're likely to be confirmed, is I really worry about how much time we focus on the tasks that we have in a given day. And if we're focused too much on the wrong things, we don't have enough time to focus on the right things. That's certainly true in my job. I think it's true in any other job. My worry is that, especially at the Federal Reserve, which is doing important supervisory work, to the extent that we're focused on diversity, that may distract from our ability to focus on far, far more important things that are at the root of the Federal Reserve's mandate. So I hope, whatever your views and whatever your disagreements and agreements with me on that topic, when you're confirmed, as you likely will be, you take the focus on the core function. And I hope that none of us are distracted by some of these other concerns, because I think that's what may lead to the next financial crisis, a lack of supervisory authority from the Federal Reserve. And I think over-focusing on diversity actually enhances and makes that more likely, doesn't make it less likely. Thank you for answering my questions.
Senator Fetterman of Pennsylvania is recognized.
A lot of people today are saying that Donald Trump should not have fired Lisa Cook. Some people are even going so far as to call Donald Trump a racist because she just so happens to be African American. The President of the United States is allowed to remove someone from the Federal Reserve Board of Governors if there is a cause. This woman broke the law. As far as I'm concerned, that is a cause to me. She committed mortgage fraud. She said someplace was her primary residence when in fact she was selling the place the next week. This is as black and white a case as it can possibly get. The facts are right there. She broke the law. She knew what she did was wrong, and she did it anyway because she thought to herself, you know what? No one's going to catch me. No one's going to call me out on this. No. Donald Trump did. He realizes the Federal Reserve is playing games. Their refusal to cut interest rates, even though all of the metrics are saying that they need to do so, just because they hate Donald Trump. I absolutely love how J.D. Vance completely dismantles her argument right here. Do you ever notice when somebody can't actually back up what they're saying, they always go to the race card? Oh, you're only saying this because of this, that, or the other. As far as I'm concerned, this woman right here was a DEI hire. Diversity, equity, inclusion. She was only chosen because that was what's hip at that exact moment. As far as I'm concerned, I want the best and most qualified people for that position. If that just so happens that 7 of the people in the Fed Board of Governors are African American, then yeah, go for it, because you are the 7 most qualified people. But this woman right here, Lisa Cook, not only did she break the law, but as far as I'm concerned, she was unfit for that position the entire time. But of course Joe Biden chose her though, because she checks a box and he's like, yeah, why not? I'll go with the flow because that's what everybody wants me to do. But I am actually really curious to see how this whole situation plays out, because we have never before seen this in America. A sitting US president fire somebody on the Fed Board of Governors. This is unprecedented territory, and as far as I'm concerned, it is 100% justified. She broke the law. That is for cause. She deserves to go. But I really want to see how the courts play this, because Lisa Cook and her team of attorneys are going to fight this tooth and nail. And I believe everybody in the Fed is going to rally behind her because they stick together and they don't like Donald Trump. So whether we like it or not, we're about to see a major clash between the office of the presidency versus the independence and the sovereignty of the Federal Reserve. I really am curious how this all pans out, but let me know your thoughts on this down below. Do you think that Donald Trump has grounds to fire Lisa Cook, or do you think he's overextending his power? Let me know your thoughts on this down below. I'd love to hear that. And also, who would you like to see Donald Trump fill in her shoes? Let me know. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Until next time.